Thanks for staying with us. You're watching SA Today with me, Unati Bagyasha. Let's continue here now. Kenyan drivers are yet to fully embrace a new smart driving license introduced in the country in 2018. The digital driving license replaces a multi-page manual license that was renewable annually or after 3 years, while the country's National Transport Authority hopes to enlist at least 5 million drivers. The process has been slow as many drivers find the cost of driving license about $30 too high.
Isaac Kamau marks time at his workstation for a second week this year. Mark timing because business continues to be slow for this taxi driver since the introduction of his competition in the form of ride-hailing apps and the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Kamau sighed with relief last year when the government extended the deadline for the acquisition of new generation driving licenses for all drivers.
I have not renewed my license because it's 3,000 shillings and I don't have that money. I have so many things to do, so I prefer to renew the old license yearly for just 650 shillings.
Across from here, at an internet cafe, Mwirigi Mudhe assists a client make an online application for the new license.
The first one, not the ID number.
Even here, Mudhe says he has seen a decline in the number of those making fresh applications. The smart driving license costs 3,000 shillings, which is about $30. The booklet that is now being phased out cost half that.
Of late, we have not seen many people coming. Only the upper class people who can afford to pay for those 3,000 are the people who normally come to ask for that services. The other people like drivers of maybe the taxis and even drivers for these matatus, they normally opt to go for the one which is in the e-citizen, which they normally pay for 650 per year.
So there people are preferring to continue renewing
with the older one than taking the new Teams, which is in the Teams account.
Kenya started the process of introducing the digital driving license just over 10 years ago. But intrigues in the tendering process have not only slowed down the process, but also made the license more expensive, according to investigative journalist John Alan Namu, who retraces the process since 2008, when the first written tender issued to a Belgian company, Simplex, fell through.
What we then found in those leaked emails were the seeds of a very well-constructed plan of tenderpreneurship, essentially, where there'd be players who aren't necessarily, experienced, at least on the Kenya side, aren't necessarily experienced as people who produce these kinds of documents, linking up with a firm like Semlex that has operations across Africa, but also lots of controversy in applying the same kinds of tactics in different parts of the world. To bring this to market, the effect, the sum total of the Semlex deal, which fell through, was that the digital license itself would be about double the cost of what it actually should be. So production costs end to end, even if you were to add a little profit, would be between $11 and $15. Right now, what you're being charged is, what it tells you, you have to ask, where is that $15 going? Who is it going to?
The tender finally went to the National Bank of Kenya, who worked through a technical partner to print the cards. Those who have applied for the card have mixed reactions on the waiting period once one makes the application.
So I started with mine. I did it at August. Since August up to now, I never got it.
Attempts to get a comment from the National Transport Authority on how many cards have been issued, how many people are on the waiting list, and on complaints that the card is expensive were not successful, as the authority declined to grant us an interview. Namu, however, says his organization's investigation point to how intrigues in Kenya and by extension Africa's procurement processes give room for corruption and exploitation of hapless drivers like Kamau.
What it tells you is that there is a likelihood that there are certain kickbacks that were being paid to certain people, and that the deal itself was inflated, which characterizes many of the deals that that the Kenyan government has gotten into on behalf of the Kenyan people, where costs are often inflated and the cost is then paid by us.
Indeed, Namu, who has investigated several corrupt dealings in Africa, says he is not surprised at South Africa's Department of Transport's explanation that it sourced its printing machine from Germany.
African governments, African players have now found new ways of being able to leech from the public coffers through these kinds of deals that seem opaque, where it's either highly technical or requires a very specialized skill set. That's an opportunity to inflate the price. It requires certain specific players who they can argue would need to be pre-qualified under their entrepreneurship rules. That introduces players who know the system very well. So it's just introducing newer and more complicated ways of being able to steal from the public purse. That's the thing. And this happens with delivery of digital licenses, biometrics, elections management systems, trains that are popping up across the continent. It's happening with the key things that we need to be able to take new leaps into the 21st century.
For now, drivers like Kamau hope the government will keep pushing the deadline, if only to allow him more legal time on the road. Sarah Kimani, SABC News in Nairobi, Kenya.